Hello there.
Hi, I'm Carrie Martin.
Hi, lovely to meet you. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions. More or less, I ask the same ones to most people just to
Okay.
see, and there's quite a few different answers. So, how old were you when you got into the type of music you're doing now?
That's a good question. How old was I when I first started singing? Probably about 4. And then when I was a teenager, I was a singer-songwriter guitarist, but that wasn't really fashionable then. So then I went into a rock band and I wore the leather trousers and my hair was the very 80s. And then I gave up to have children and the guitar was in the loft and I gave up music completely and then I came back about 12 years ago.
So, what instruments can you play?
I play a guitar and I play an Appalachian dulcimer.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
what's your favourite make of guitar?
Ah, well, it's got to be Faith because I've got a sponsorship with Faith.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing your faith guitar later
Yeah,
on then.
yeah, there's quite a few of them.
How did you learn to play your instruments when you were a kid then?
My dad was a singer, guitarist around
Mhm.
the local clubs and pubs when I was a little girl, and I think he wanted to teach my brother because it would be really cool for a boy to play guitar. But it was me that was dragging. My brother had this little acoustic nylon thing on his wall, and it's 7 years older than me. And the minute he left for school, I'd be on my tiptoes trying to push it off the wall and get it down. And I think it was my mum that took my dad aside and said, "You're teaching the wrong child."
So, take it you write your own songs.
Yes.
Okay, so has your upbringing influenced any of your songwriting?
Oh, absolutely. I feel very lucky that my parents, there was music everywhere when I was a little girl, music playing all the time. If my dad wasn't practicing, my mum had things on the stereo, which was the vinyl then. And Everly Brothers was one that I listened to regularly, and Gilbert O'Sullivan. I think he's been a massive influence on my writing because his lyrics are just so deep. I mean, Alone Again, naturally, probably one of the best written songs I've ever heard in my life.
We seem to have quite a few parallels here. It's quite interesting. So, how would you describe the music you typically create?
Another good question. I hate to be pigeonholed, and I think that's probably my problem because I don't fit into an actual genre. So I just like to say I'm a songwriter. I mean, the last album had a little bit of soul blues on it, a little bit of folk. I even branched out into a prog rock track and had Oliver Wakeman with the Moog and Roger Fisher from the rock band Heart put about 4 minutes solo on the end of it. So genre wise, I just like to write songs and it depends what mood I'm in, Sammy, as to how and what I write.
Okay, so can you share a story behind one of your, I suppose, most heard or most popular songs that other people may not know?
Keeping the Light, which is the prog track that I just spoke of, I wrote that during the lockdown, and the lockdown was a strange time in the sense that for a while everybody at home was at home, and then my family are key workers, so they branched off back to work, which left me on my own for quite a long while, a lot of hours of the day. And being a musician, I think felt so desperate, like things would never ever come back to how they should be. And I've got a little studio in the garden, and I was sat in there and I was thinking, what are we all gonna do? And I couldn't see my parents, I couldn't see the people that I loved, and I started to write this track that I never intended anybody else to ever hear, and I think it was an outpouring of pure grief of what we were all going through. And it sat there for a long, long while, and I was recording the album Evergreen. And I went through to my mentors, people that don't know my music. I'm very lucky to be mentored by Gordon Giltrap. And I spent many hours at his house. And after lockdown, I went there and we were talking about music. And he said, I was noodling, we call it noodling, on the guitar. And he said, what is that riff? And I said, oh, it goes to a track that I wrote during the lockdown that nobody's heard. And he went, play it. And I went, you don't want to hear it? And he said, why? And I said, it's depressing drivel. And he went, no, play it. So, and I said, fine. I said, do you want the words as well? And he, yeah, play it. I said, I'm going to put the kettle on. And off he went. And then when he came back, he sat just like how you're sitting opposite me, and he folded his arms like this. And he said, do you know what that is, dear one? And I said, yeah, depressing dribble that I wrote during the lockdown. He went, no, this is pure prog rock, dear. And I was like, what? You've got to be kidding me. And then it became obvious when I started to play it. He said, you must get this out there. And people were saying, oh God, this is so prog rock. So obviously I threw it over to Oliver Wakeman, and then obviously Roger put the solo on. It was definitely prog once Oliver had his hands on it, and then it got played by a lot of prog stations, do you know? So it went from a song that wasn't going to be used to an album track that everybody's going mad about, which is crazy, isn't it?
It's brilliant. Okay, so what's the most challenging sort of song you've had to perform?
To perform or to write?
Well, a mixture of both, really.
Writing wise, I always think it's when you have to do something for somebody else. And I do work a lot with Louise Beach, who's an author, and I tend to write tracks that go with her stories. Obviously, as a songwriter, you often feel it within. So it's if you get a commissioned piece and you've got to sort of delve into somebody else's head to try and pull out the information that you need for a song, do you know? And I find that tricky sometimes, because songwriting for me is an idea, and if the idea fixes and it translates into something, then we're on a winner. But sometimes things don't always click, and it's got to be something, an idea that my brain actually latches onto. So it's difficult sometimes to sort of achieve something that somebody else wants you to do. It's almost like, I suppose, if you're a jeweller and somebody wants a ring making, you've always got that doubt in your mind that they're going to like it, you know? Because you like it doesn't mean to say they'll like it, and it's something personal to them. So commission pieces are always tricky, I think, Sammy.
So which is your most rewarding performance you've done?
Most rewarding thing was being asked by Rick Wakeman to go on stage with him at the Roses Theatre and sing Morning Has Broken. And I think I'd done the same gig the year before with Oliver, Gordon and Rick, and I'd got up and Oliver plays on quite a few of my tracks, so obviously me and Oliver have worked together before, so that was nothing new. Got on the stage and I sang on a few of Oliver's tracks and he played on mine, and obviously Rick went on and did his thing, and then the following year there was talk about doing it again, and Oliver messaged me and said, oh, and by the way, Dad wants to know, do you fancy doing Morning Has Broken with him? I was like, what? So that was a moment that, and I'm going to let you all into a massive secret now, because I actually got on the stage, and it was such a nerve-wracking moment for me because it is so damn high, and I was trained by an opera singer, so I can get up there, but it's not. I don't go up that dusty end very often. And I thought, Carrie, you either read the words or you just relax into it and you just go for those high notes. I decided that's what I do, but I got the verses mixed up. So if you're an avid churchgoer and you do spot it on YouTube, you'll realise it's all the wrong way around.
Oh, but it's real.
Yeah, it is real.
So what interests or hobbies do you have outside of music?
I love nature. Absolutely love nature. I'm fascinated by butterflies, dragonflies, the colours that nature puts together. So I love to be in the Yorkshire Dales. I love to be on the North York Moors. I love to be doing walks around the Cornish coast where you've got all the black slate and the blue sea reflecting. I just think if you want a colour scheme for your house, just look towards nature, because the colours that nature puts together are the best. So I'm happy outdoors amongst things that are living.
That's ace. So what legacy do you hope to leave with your music?
I feel like music is like anything, like I just spoke of Gilbert O'Sullivan earlier. I remember listening to his lyrics and thinking, wow, do you know? And I remember those for the rest of my life. And sometimes I get followers of my music messaging me on a page and they'll say, I was going through breast cancer and this certain track helped me through. So if my music can touch somebody's soul somewhere and help them through anything, then I feel like I've achieved something.
So what's next for you musically?
This is the question, is it? I'm working on a new album, which is really nice, and I'm doing a very interesting project in June, which is a separate album actually. Psychotron Records, who are my label, they're absolutely fabulous to me, and they got this idea that, and it all came from me sitting in the garden during lockdown doing a version of Entity, one of my tracks, and a blackbird perched in then chipped in and was like competing against me almost. So I'm singing lines and it's chirping away. And Psychotron got this idea that we would record an album outdoors with nature in the background, which of course me loving nature was quite an appealing thing. Not knowing how he's going to achieve that. But anyway, the upshot of it is in June we fly over to Sweden and we've got a log cabin booked and some recording equipment and we're just going for it. So we're just going to see what happens there.
Wow.
So that's a project that I'm really looking forward to because it's something different and you know you're going to get background noises of woodland and stuff, which is just great, whether it be the cracking of branches or maybe birds chipping in. You know, that's just nice because for me that's like everywhere around and it's just a nice feel.
That sounds brilliant.
Yeah,
well,
it's quite an exciting project.
Yeah, certainly is. Well, I look forward to seeing the videos to that. Because I have watched your Evergreen when you're wandering through a wood. I thought, oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I'm very lucky that I knew Katie Stone's Cake House Productions. She was a student when I very first started doing some of my music videos, and she's been with me. She's responsible for the Entity one, the Evergreen one, and the one White Kite, you know. So yeah, very lucky to have these people around me that are so talented.
It helps.
It does.
Well, it's been lovely chatting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the White Room later on tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.